What are some creepy incidents that unfolded through Reddit posts comments? There's a girl on the Beatles subreddit who legitimately thinks she's in a relationship with John Lennon. It's quite disturbing. People have told her to seek help, not sure what's come of it. There was a guy on our legal advice who complained that his neighbors would wake him up nights by pounding on walls and making really loud noises. He complained that his roommates were in on the harassment because they denied hearing any noise. People responding to the post eventually worked out that the guy was an alcoholic binge drinker and hallucinated loud banging sounds when he'd stopped drinking for a few days. Delirium tremens is nuts, people. I saw it on a vid of YouTube, but there was a Redditor who was a tech wizard and was really helpful to people who asked for knowledge, and it seemed like the guy was really helpful, kind and lovely. Turns out him and a friend were involved in a child poor *ring, as in making the videos and selling them. Not sure on this part, but I think the report said he had used his own son in the videos. This guy didn't go viral, so I have no way of finding his account again. Basically he was convinced the FBI implanted a microchip in him. Which I guess is typical of some disorders, but he was vlogging about it, making all these posts about how NASA helped develop the technology so it's not showing up on scans. His doctor being in on it for refusing to refer him to surgery to remove it. Reading through his post, comments were chilling. There was a guy Jason who wrote on some relationship sub asking for advice, and people told him to leave his wife. Then he took the advice and she went full Medea on him and killed their kids. There was the guy that posted on our legal advice a bit ago, asking about getting his job back after getting terminated. He was cagey and evasive about why he got canned, and kept emphasizing that he was well paid and that his wife couldn't find out. All of this stank, of course, and the user got roasted. He posted several times about this situation, then deleted his account. Then his wife appeared on Reddit and posted somewhere else, relationships maybe, about this whole shit show, and it turns out that the LAOP was very obviously masturbating in a jacuzzi while sexually harassing a woman, while on a work trip, on camera at the hotel, and got the whole company banned from the hotel, and then himself terminated from the company, and she did, of course, find out the whole thing after a while of him trying to pretend everything was okay. I think she said that he spent down their savings while trying to pretend he was working still, too. She was pissed and divorcing his ass. I might be remembering details wrong, but there was the guy who posted about a time where he and a friend accidentally killed a special needs kid in their neighborhood when they were kids, and the kid was never found. When someone linked what the Redditor said to an actual unsolved case with the same details, the guy deleted his account along with the initial post. The infamous Ask a Rapist thread. I can't remember the exact user, but there was this guy who found out about the quantum theory of immortality and made a bunch of posts about it, basically descending into madness and saying he couldn't live with the reality of understanding it anymore. He never updated again after that. I still think about it sometimes. Gives me chills. Edit, found it. UAFH43. I don't remember if it was Reddit, but the guy who found a cave in the desert and then disappeared. If I remember correctly, this guy went hiking and found a cave that he described as being a perfect M shape. Supposedly this was out near a military testing ground, so he thought he stumbled on some top secret stuff. There's actually a video of him going back out to where he saw it, and it's gone. Sometime after he posted that video, he vanished. People thought he was taken by the government for seeing something he shouldn't have, but his wife later logged into his account and updated that he had been depressed for a long time and more than likely decided to end his life, and the M cave hike was him just finding a secluded place to do it. There was that guy who posted about trying heroin out of curiosity. Then the rest of his post history was his life spiraling out of control. I wish I could remember the details, because it was really notorious at the time, but there was some guy who posted to R2X chromosomes or someplace similar pretending to be a woman. They said they were looking for help proving that they had been sexually assaulted, but if you went through their post history, they posted a lot of stuff in pro-rape subreddits, and it was pretty obvious that they wanted to use the information they gathered to commit the perfect crime. I think this was right before our jailbait got banned, but honestly my memory of the whole thing is so foggy. There was a Redditor who called out Kevin Spacey years before the scandal. From memory it was seeing him partying in Thailand with young boys. I remember it here on this sub many years ago about a man saying he was afraid of ghosts because when he was a child, he'd spend summer nights at his uncle's house and every night a ghost would come into the room. He wanted to tell his uncle about it, but didn't want to scare him. But the truly scary part was that he said this ghost looked just like his uncle and would fondle him every night. This poor man was being abused as a child and he didn't even realize it. I didn't read the responses, but I would hope that the readers told him what was really going on. Hopefully he got the help he needed. I may not be remembering all of the details correctly, but I think of the guy who became convinced that someone had been entering his home while he was unaware. He kept on discovering strange unexplained incidents like misplaced and missing objects, appliances being turned on or off, and notes being left around the house that he hadn't written. Another Redditor pieced all of this together and commented that he should leave his house immediately, but not for the reason the op thought. Turns out the op was under the effects of mild CO poisoning and had been doing all of this stuff himself but couldn't remember having done it, or why, because of the effects of the gas. The time a guy asked why Stephen Hawking was still alive based on his conditions, and Hawking died the very next day. Yay video games, I've heard that he was indeed out of his mind and he died. I think he committed suicide. I see that his account got deleted. He's very famous on Reddit, but for those who don't know, he kept commenting something around the lines of, Microsoft goes bye-bye, but always with a slight difference, like a dot or a cap. He commented this about 200 times. There was also a woman who had Lyme disease, and you could see her mental health going worse and worse on her profile. She got really into conspiracy theories, for instance. She passed away too. On RBI, a woman found tooth and other weird stuff at her house. Turns out the local pastor spent his days hidden in her attic. They found poor * magazines and jars filled with sperm. And of course he made a peephole. And the worst of all is the guy that said he murdered his best friend because she didn't want to date him. Everyone called bullshit, so he posted pictures. She was decapitated and completely naked. He positioned her in a humiliating way. Some people still didn't believe him, though no one found anything on reverse image search. Turns out it was all real and it made the news. There was guy on Paranormal who was hearing strange noises in the night and saw strange figures through the back door on his interior CCTV, so he bought some weatherproof cameras and they kept sending back imagery of the inside of his house, the woods around it, and other stuff. At one point he thought the camera had been stolen, but it was in the same place. There was a cobweb in front of the camera that never moved. One theory is that he was sleepwalking, but no evidence of a living being messing with the cameras were recorded. Other theories include a hoax, or an uninvited guest. And #X200B, in the end he sold the cameras and never updated. There was a post on glitch in the Matrix that I read about a year ago. I was sorting by news, so there weren't any comment yet, but it gave me a really uneasy feeling. The op talked about how he would see this same man in a coat wherever he went. Initially he said that he said him walking downtown, and then saw him when he was driving. Sounded like typical coincidence. But then the op went on to say that he has seen the man in the coat in the reflection of his shower head while he was in the washroom and had heard voice and stuff. I returned to the post later that day and someone who knows better than I do had commented that this was not a glitch in the Matrix but actually symptoms of schizophrenia. I didn't pick up on it right away, despite how obvious that is. But I never found out if the op seeked out treatment or not. I think about this at least once a month. I can't find the post, unfortunately. The guy who started a very long thread about his friend who was a restorative specialist in England. The story about his friend maliciously complying with a complete asshole who was running a construction company. Someone find the link, edit, removed ending.